My mom told my wife I was cheating. Now she's divorcing me and I just found out my mom lied to take our house. I am a man of 34. The night my wife told me she wanted a divorce, she didn't cry, she didn't scream, she didn't even ask me if it was true. She just sat across from me at our kitchen table, slid a folded stack of printed screenshots toward me, and said, "I already know everything, David." My answer is no. I'm not staying with a liar. I remember staring at those papers while my brain tried to catch up. It was a slow Wednesday evening. The sink was full of dishes from dinner. Our 4-year-old son, Noah, had just fallen asleep in his room. The house was quiet in that heavy way it gets when a child is finally down. I was in joggers and an old t-shirt. It should have been an ordinary night. Instead, my marriage was apparently ending, and I had no idea why. I opened the stack with numb fingers. On top were printed screenshots from what looked like a messaging app. My profile picture. My name. A chat with a contact saved as Clara Kissmark. The messages were exactly the kind of thing that would make a wife stop listening to explanations. Flirty lines. "Can't wait to see you again. My wife suspects something, we have to be careful." A blurry photo of a woman's legs on a bed. A hotel address. It felt like I was looking at a bad fake version of myself. My stomach dropped, but at the same time my brain was strangely calm. These were not my messages. I had never seen that chat screen in my life. I looked up at Emma. My wife of 7 years. The woman I met at 24 in a small cafe when we both reached for the same last croissant and laughed awkwardly. The woman who held my hand in the hospital when Noah was born. Her face was cold, lips tight, eyes red from crying earlier, not now. "What is this?" I asked. She laughed once, a bitter sound. "Don't insult me, David. My mother-in-law showed me your phone herself. She saw it by accident. She didn't want to believe it either. She took these before she confronted you, in case you deleted everything." My brain grabbed onto one word. My mother-in-law. My mom. Linda. I felt like the floor shifted under me. "My mom showed you this?" I said slowly. "Yes," she said. "Last week. She came over when you were at work. She told me she was worried about you, that you'd been distant, on your phone all the time, that something felt off. I tried to defend you. I told her you were just stressed with work and the mortgage. She looked like she was going to cry when she said, 'I hope you're right, Emma. I really do.' Then she told me she was in your car with you when you went to the supermarket, and she saw a notification from this Clara pop up. She asked to see your phone. You were in the store. It was unlocked. She opened it. And she found this." She tapped the papers with her finger. She wasn't shouting. That made it worse. I shook my head. "That never happened," I said. "She never asked to see my phone. I don't even talk to a Clara. I don't have anyone saved with that name. Someone fake." Emma cut me off. "Stop," she said sharply. "Please. Just stop. I believe your mother over you. She didn't want to tell me. She said she was afraid of breaking up our family. She said she had hoped you would come clean yourself. She cried in my arms about how she raised you better than this. Do you know how humiliating that was for me? Hearing that my mother had cried in my wife's arms about me cheating felt like a slap. My mother, who had always been loudly proud of being the one who sacrificed everything for me, now using that role to paint me as a traitor. "I swear to you," I said, my voice shaking, "this isn't me. I don't know this woman. I don't know where these messages came from. Did you check the number? Did you see the real phone? Anyone can make fake screenshots." Emma's eyes flashed. "Don't treat me like I'm stupid," she said. "Your mother even showed me the chat live on your phone." She scrolled. She tapped. I saw your contact list. I saw how far it went back. Months. I saw you sending her money. I saw you telling her you wished you'd met her before me. My mouth opened and closed. I wanted to scream that it was impossible, that I would remember writing something like that. Instead, I heard myself asking, why didn't you say anything to me last week? She looked away, jaw clenched. Because I wanted to see what you would do, she said. I watched you every day, waiting to see if you'd look guilty, if you'd suddenly put a password on your phone, if you'd act strange. You acted normal, like nothing was wrong. That hurt more than seeing the messages. It meant you weren't even conflicted. You just lied easily. I realized then that in her mind, the trial was already over. The sentence was decided. I wasn't defending myself, I was just adding more proof to her story of me as a liar. I tried to explain, to talk about how easy it is to fake chats, how my phone is always on me, how I never left it somewhere. She shut it down. Your mother is the most honest person I know, she said. She doesn't know how to fake anything. She has no reason to lie to me about her own son. Why would she invent something like this? At that moment, I didn't have the answer. I only knew that my mother had a long history of honesty that depended on whether the truth suited her. Growing up, it was just me and her most of the time. My father, Robert, was around physically, but he worked long hours as a mechanic and then sometimes took odd jobs on weekends for extra cash. My mother loved to remind us that she had given up her own career dreams to raise me. She never missed a chance to say, if I hadn't stayed home, you boys would have grown up wild. At first, it sounded like pride. As I got older, it sounded more like accusation. My brother Julian is 3 years younger than me. He was always the easygoing one, laughing things off, letting our mother's dramatics slide. I was the one who clashed with her. When I was a teenager, any attempt to set boundaries was taken as betrayal. If I wanted to sleep over at a friend's house, she'd say I was abandoning her. If I talked about moving out one day, she'd cry and say, after everything I did, you can't wait to leave me. It was exhausting. Our house was a place where love and guilt lived in the same room. When I met Emma, my mother was nice at first. Too nice. She hugged her, called her my daughter, told everyone how lucky she was that a good boy like David chose her. Emma, who grew up in a calm, stable home, thought it was sweet. I saw something else. I saw my mother expanding her territory. Our relationship became another thing she could wrap herself around and claim a part of. The first major clash between Emma and my mother happened when we told her we were buying a house. It was a small semi-detached place in a decent neighborhood. Nothing fancy. But for us, it was a dream. We had saved for years. I had taken a promotion that came with more stress but a bit more money. Emma had gone back to work after Noah was born and we put him in daycare. We wanted something that was ours. When we told my mother, she smiled too wide and said, finally. I was starting to think you'd be renters forever. Then she asked the question I'd been expecting, so, whose name is on the deed? Ours, I said. Mine and Emma's. Her smile froze for a second. Then she laughed, high-pitched. Of course, she said. I just thought maybe I could help with the down payment, and we could put my name too, you know, for security. In case something happens. Family should stick together. I knew help meant control. My mother never let money go without strings attached. I told her we appreciated the offer but we had it covered. Emma backed me up gently, saying that we wanted to take this step on our own. My mother's face shifted. The conversation ended, but a line had been drawn. After we moved in, my mother started making small comments whenever she came over. You have so much space, she'd say, running her hand along the kitchen counter. Do you really need all this? Or, I hope you won't forget about me now that you have your own castle. She said it jokingly, but the message was clear. In her mind, our home was somehow also hers, or should have been. When my father died 2 years ago, everything escalated. His sudden heart attack broke something in all of us, but my mother turned her grief into a weapon. She blamed him for not leaving enough money. She blamed us for not visiting enough. She blamed the world for moving on while she felt stuck. And under all of that, I think she resented that I had what she didn't: a partner who worked with me, a child, a house with both our names on it. She started spending more time at our place. At first, it felt fair. She was a widow now, alone in the small apartment we grew up in. Emma and I wanted Noah to know his grandmother. But the visits became longer, more intrusive. She criticized the way Emma cooked, the way we organized the living room, the way we disciplined Noah. If Emma said something, my mother would turn to me and say, "You used to like my cooking. You used to listen to me. You've changed since you moved in here." Emma tried to set boundaries. My mother didn't like boundaries. She started seeing Emma as competition, not as family. I could feel it in the way she'd say, "Your wife," instead of "Emma" when she was angry. "Your wife doesn't like me. Your wife wants to take you away from me." We argued about it, Emma and I. She told me my mother was manipulative. I defended her, out of habit. "She's just lonely," I'd say. "She doesn't mean it like that." Emma would shake her head and say, "At some point, you have to choose where your loyalty is, David. This is our home. Our life." I wanted to believe I could keep both. I didn't see how far my mother was willing to go to make sure she wasn't left behind. Back at the kitchen table with the printed screenshots between us, all of this history sat heavy in the air. I thought about how often my mother had used phrases like, "After everything I did," and "You owe me." I thought about how she had reacted when we refused her name on the house. I thought about the way she cried and held Emma like a victim last week while I was at work, telling her she had discovered my betrayal. I also thought about how much Emma trusted my mother, because in Emma's world, mothers didn't lie about their own children. Her mother, Claire, is the type of woman who apologizes when she forgets to put enough salt in the soup. The idea that a mother could manufacture a cheating story to destroy her son's marriage was unthinkable to her. I begged Emma to sit with me and go through my actual phone. Right there. In front of her. I put it on the table, unlocked. "Check everything," I said. "Messages, apps, emails. Look for this chat. If you find it, I won't say another word. You can file for divorce tomorrow, and I'll sign whatever you want." She stared at the phone like it was a snake. "I don't want to play this game," she said. "Your mother already showed me. You could have deleted everything by now." I pushed the phone closer. "If I deleted something, there will still be traces. Numbers in the call history, bank transfers, app notifications. You've seen the way I use this thing. I'm not some secret agent. I forget to charge it half the time." She hesitated. Her eyes softened for a second. I thought maybe that was it, the moment we'd crack this open together and realize there was something wrong with the story she'd been given. She reached out. My heart raced. She unlocked the screen with my code, the one she'd always known. She opened my messages, scrolled, checked the contacts. No Clara. She checked my email. Nothing. She opened my banking app. No weird transfers. She went through my calls. No mysterious numbers. I watched her face as she searched. Confusion started to creep in. Then her jaw tightened again. She put the phone down. "You could have another phone," she said quietly. "A second number. Your mother said she suspected that. She said you've been secretive with technology lately." I almost laughed. Secretive with technology? I fixed printers for a living. My secretive technology was a second-hand laptop to play football games at night. "This is insane, Emma," I said. "You've known me for 7 years. You know how I am. I go to work, I come home, I play with Noah, I fall asleep on the couch watching the same stupid series. When would I be cheating? In the 10 minutes between putting him to bed and collapsing myself? She didn't answer. When she finally spoke, her voice was flat. I can't unsee what I saw, she said. Maybe you're right. Maybe there's some technical explanation. Maybe I'll regret this one day. But right now, I can't stay married to someone I don't trust. And I don't trust you. That's when she said she wanted a divorce. The days after that conversation were a blur of papers and silence. Emma moved into her mother's house with Noah temporarily. She said it was better for him to be in a calm environment while we sorted things out. My lawyer friend told me to document everything, to stay calm, to avoid sending angry messages that could be used against me. I did my best, but inside I was on fire. My mother called me the next day, acting like she had just heard the news. Emma told me you two are taking a break, she said, voice full of fake sadness. I'm so sorry, my son. I prayed this wouldn't happen. I asked her straight out about the messages. About the car. About the supposed unlocked phone. She went quiet for half a second, then launched into a detailed story about how she had been sitting in the passenger seat while I went into the supermarket, how she had noticed the notification, how she had hesitated because she never touches my things, how curiosity and fear for my marriage had pushed her to open the app. She sounded rehearsed. Too rehearsed. I told her I'd checked my phone top to bottom with Emma and there was nothing there. She said I must have a second device. She said she wasn't surprised I was now gaslighting her to avoid accountability. She used that word, gaslighting, like she'd just learned it and was proud to apply it. She started crying, saying she never should have said anything, that now she was the bad guy. Something in me snapped. What do you want, Mom? I asked. Really? What do you want out of all this? She went quiet. Then she said something I didn't expect to hear so soon. I don't want to see you lose everything, she said. If she divorces you, she'll take half the house, half of everything you worked for. You think she won't? Women always do that. At least if my name had been on the deed like we talked about, our family home would have stayed in the family. I tried to warn you. Now look. Our family home. The one she never lived in, never paid for, never signed anything for. You think this is about the house? I asked slowly. You think I'm going through this because you're angry your name isn't on a piece of paper? I think you underestimated what marriage can cost a man, she shot back. She never liked me. She always wanted to cut you off from your blood. Now she has her chance. She made herself sound like the victim and the protector at the same time. It twisted my stomach. That call ended with both of us shouting. She hung up on me, sobbing loudly into the receiver for effect. In the weeks that followed, the divorce process started. Emma filed on the grounds of irreconcilable differences. She never wrote infidelity officially, her lawyer told her it would complicate things. But unofficially, in the eyes of her family and some of ours, I was now the cheater. I could feel it in the way they looked at me in the rare moments we crossed paths, pity mixed with moral superiority. We argued over custody of Noah. I wanted joint custody. Emma's lawyer pushed for him to live with her most of the time, for stability. My mother loudly took my side in public, telling anyone who would listen that Emma was trying to erase us, that she would fight for her grandson. In private, I started to notice that every suggestion she made conveniently ended with one result, her being closer to my son and my house, and Emma being pushed out. Then, one afternoon, my mother came over with a folder. She sat at my kitchen table, in the chair Emma used to sit in, and spread out papers like a salesperson. I've been thinking, she said, you need protection. Emma will take advantage. We can avoid that if we transfer the house to me for now. She can't take what you don't own. After the divorce is done, I'll give it back. I stared at her. You want me to sign my house over to you, I said, after you told my wife I was cheating and blew up my marriage. She flinched at the word told, but didn't deny it. It's a strategy, she insisted. You're not thinking clearly. You're emotional. I'm thinking like a mother. I'm protecting your assets. You can trust me more than some judge. The mask was gone now. No more pretending this wasn't about the house. No more pretending she was just a concerned parent. I pushed the papers back toward her. Get out, I said quietly. She laughed, but there was no humor in it. Don't be stupid, David, she said. You think she won't go after this place? She's already left with your son. Next she'll leave with your money. Open your eyes. I said, get out, I repeated. She stood slowly, eyes suddenly cold. Fine, she said, but don't come crying to me when you're homeless and paying alimony because you refuse to listen to the only person who truly cares about you. She grabbed the folder, shoved it into her bag, and slammed the door behind her. I sat at that table for a long time after she left, head in my hands. I felt like I was losing everything at once, my wife, my son, my reputation, my relationship with my mother. I still didn't have proof that she had fabricated the cheating on purpose. Maybe she had genuinely seen something, misinterpreted it, panicked. My brain wanted to give her that benefit of the doubt because the alternative, that my own mother would frame me as unfaithful to break my marriage and get her claws into my house, felt like something from a nightmare. Then, a week later, my brother Julian called and said, David, I think you need to come over. There's something you should hear. And you're not going to like it. That was the moment everything shifted from suspicion to certainty. Because what he was about to play for me would prove that my mother hadn't just misunderstood anything. She had lied. Deliberately. And she had done it with one clear goal, to take my house and my life apart, piece by piece. Julian lives in a small apartment across town, the same building we grew up in, just a different floor. He never wanted a house. He always said owning too much stuff made him anxious. When he called me that evening, his voice didn't sound like the laid-back brother I knew. It was tight, serious. When I arrived, he had already made tea, which was his way of telling me this was going to be heavy. He didn't waste time on small talk. As soon as I sat down, he pulled out his phone, opened an audio file, and put it face down on the table between us. Before I play this, he said, I need you to understand something. I didn't go looking for this. I wasn't spying. I was in the wrong place at the right time. And once I heard it, I couldn't unhear it. Okay? My throat was dry. Just play it, I said. He pressed play. At first, all I heard was background noise. A door closing. The rustle of fabric. Then my mother's voice. Clear. Sharp. I recognized the tone instantly. It was the voice she used on the phone with her sisters when she thought nobody else was listening. I'm telling you, he'll sign eventually, she was saying. He's stubborn, but he's not stupid. Once the divorce hits him in the wallet, he'll understand that I'm his only real ally. Another voice answered. My aunt's, I realized after a second. Linda, this is going too far, she said. Destroying his marriage? Over a house? What is wrong with you? My stomach clenched. Oh, stop with your drama, my mother shot back. I didn't destroy anything. Their marriage was weak already. All I did was push what would have happened later anyway. Better now before she milks him dry. You know how women are in those courts. My aunt sounded horrified. But you lied, she said. There was no Clara. You told me yourself. You made those screenshots. You borrowed that girl's phone and changed the name. You even practiced opening that app so you could fool Emma. Do you hear yourself? You framed your own son. I felt like I'd been punched in the chest. Hearing it laid out like that, in my mother's own voice and my aunt's, ripped away whatever small hope I'd been clinging to that this was all a misunderstanding. On the recording, my mother sighed loudly. "I did what I had to do," she said. "He never listened when I tried to warn him nicely. I told him to put my name on the house. I told him women leave. Men always end up paying. He thought he knew better. Now look. He's finally waking up. And once everything is over, the house will be safe with me. He'll thank me one day." Julian paused the audio. I stared at the phone, jaw clenched so tight it hurt. "Where did you get this?" I managed to ask. He ran a hand through his hair. "She was at Aunt Nadia's place," he said. "I went over there to drop some documents for work. I rang the bell, but the door was already open, so I stepped inside and heard them talking in the kitchen. They didn't hear me. I know I should have announced myself, but when I heard my name and yours, I froze. I started recording because I don't know, something just told me I needed to. I got the rest of the conversation too." He pressed play again. "Linda, he's not going to thank you for breaking his family," my aunt said on the recording. "He's going to hate you." My mother scoffed. "He already hates me when I tell him the truth," she replied. "At least this way, I'm in control. If Emma wants to leave, let her leave. But she's not taking my son's house. This belongs to our bloodline. To me until I die, then to my grandchild. Not to some woman who turned him against his own mother." "Your grandchild," my aunt repeated. "You barely let Emma be a mother without criticizing her. You think she's going to let you near that boy now?" "If she wants to see her son regularly," my mother said coldly, "she'll have to be nice. Once the house is in my name, she'll think twice before making trouble. She won't want her son to see his father living in the street because she's ungrateful. She'll behave." I felt sick. It wasn't just about me. It was about Noah. My mother wasn't just trying to manipulate the house. She was already planning to use it as leverage over Emma and even over my son's relationship with his parents. The recording continued. My aunt kept pushing back, saying it wasn't too late to stop, to tell the truth, to fix it. My mother laughed and said Emma would never believe a sudden confession, that she had already seen enough to hate me. She said people believe what fits their fear, and Emma's fear was that I would be like other men. Then she said something that made my skin crawl. "Besides," she added, "David will survive. He always does. He's sensitive, but he's practical. Once he sees that I'm the only one who stood by him when Emma turned the courts against him, he'll choose me. He always comes back to me. He's my son." Julian stopped the audio. We sat there in silence. My heart pounded so hard I could hear it in my ears. "She made it up," I said finally. "All of it. The car. The messages. The woman. Everything." Julian nodded. "Yeah," he said softly. "She admitted it to Nadia. She asked one of the girls at her cleaning job to borrow her phone in exchange for some cash. She changed the contact name, took pictures of the chat, then deleted it. She practiced her story. She even rehearsed crying in the mirror because she wanted Emma to believe her more than you." I felt a strange mix of fury and numbness. "Why are you telling me this now?" I asked. "Why not earlier?" He looked guilty. "I only recorded it 2 days ago," he said. "I needed time to process. I didn't want to believe it either. She's my mother too. And I knew once I told you, there was no going back. You'd never see her the same way again." I let out a bitter laugh. "I already don't," I said, "but now at least I know I'm not crazy." He slid the phone toward me. "Keep the file," he said. "Do whatever you want with it. Legal, emotional, I don't know. Just be prepared. She's going to deny it to your face. She's going to say it was edited, that Nadia and I are turning you against her. She'll do anything to avoid admitting what she did. He was right. I knew my mother's ways. Confession was not in her vocabulary unless it gave her more control. That night, I barely slept. I lay in bed listening to the recording over and over until my phone battery died. Every time I heard my mother's voice talking about me like a piece in a game, something inside me cracked a little more. The next day, I called Emma. She didn't pick up at first. I sent her a message, please. Just one call. It's about what my mother told you. I have proof she lied. I'm not asking you to come back. I just want you to hear this. She called back an hour later, guarded. I could hear Noah in the background, playing. You have 10 minutes, she said. I took a deep breath. Julian recorded a conversation between my mother and my aunt, I said. In it, my mother admits she faked the messages. She says she borrowed someone's phone, changed the name, took screenshots, rehearsed a story. She admits she did it to convince you I was cheating so you'd divorce me and I'd be scared enough to sign the house over to her. I'm not asking you to believe me based on my word. I'm going to send you the audio. Listen to it. If you still think I'm lying after that, I won't bother you again. There was silence on the line. Then she said, very quietly, send it. I sent the file. The longest 15 minutes of my life followed. I paced around my living room, my hands sweating, my mouth dry. I imagined Emma hearing every word I had heard, the same sentences, the same cold tone from the woman she had trusted. She called back. Her voice was shaking. Is this real? She asked. You didn't edit it? No, I said. Ask Julian. Call my aunt. Call the phone company. Hire a specialist. I don't care. It's real. I heard her inhale sharply. I feel like I'm going to be sick, she whispered. I hugged her. I cried with her. I believed her over you. I left you. I left our home. I told people you cheated on me. It's not your fault, I said quietly, even though part of me did blame her a little. You trusted what you saw. You trusted a mother. That's not a crime. She let out a dry laugh that sounded more like a sob. It feels like one now, she said. I looked you in the eyes and called you a liar while holding fake evidence. I wanted to say, you could have listened to me. You could have checked deeper. But I swallowed it. There would be time for that later, or maybe there wouldn't. Right now, the priority was exposing the truth. What do you want to do now? I asked. She didn't answer immediately. I could hear Noah asking for a toy in the background. She spoke to him softly in between breaths. When she came back on the line, her voice was more controlled. First, I'm calling my lawyer, she said. I'm going to stop the divorce process. At least until we understand how much of this is recoverable. Then I'm calling my parents. Then. I don't know. I need time to think. I can't just pretend everything is fine. But I also can't keep walking around as if my husband cheated when he didn't. I felt something like relief and grief mixing together. I understand, I said. I'm not asking you to pretend. I just wanted you to know the truth. Where is she? Emma asked. Your mother. No idea, I said. But I'm going to find out. Later that day, I drove to my mother's place. She opened the door with a smile that died when she saw my face. She tried to pull me into a hug. I stepped back. What's wrong, my son? She asked, her voice dripping with false concern. I pulled out my phone. You tell me, I said. I pressed play. The sound of her own voice filled the small hallway. She went pale. Then red. She reached for the phone. I moved it away. Stop it, she hissed. This is private. You're invading my privacy. You invaded my marriage, I said. You invaded my home. You invaded my son's life. Now you're complaining about your privacy? She tried to recover. You don't know the context, she said quickly. Nadia twists things. Julian has always been jealous of our connection. You know how he is. They probably edited. I cut her off. It's your voice, I said. Your words. You admitted you made everything up. That you borrowed a phone. That you practiced crying. That you did it so Emma would believe you over me. You planned to take the house. You planned to use it to control her and me and Noah. What context justifies that? She shifted tactics. I did it for you, she said, eyes suddenly filled with tears. You're too soft, David. You let people walk all over you. Emma was going to leave eventually. I could feel it. She never accepted me. At least this way, you're not blindsided in 10 years with 3 kids and no money. I protected you. You protected nothing, I said, my voice low. You almost destroyed my life. You made the woman I love think I betrayed her. You made me the bad guy to my own son. You poisoned my name in her family. You did all that because you couldn't stand that our house didn't have your name on it. She shook her head violently. It's not about my name, she said. It's about blood. This world eats men like you alive. I wasn't going to stand by and watch my son lose everything while his wife smiled in court. I won't apologize for wanting to keep our family safe. Our family? I repeated. You mean yourself. You don't care about my family. If you did, you wouldn't have turned my wife against me. We argued in circles. She refused to admit she had done anything wrong, except maybe going too far out of love. She kept flipping the narrative, turning herself into a martyr, me into an ungrateful child. It was the same pattern, just on a bigger scale. Finally, I said the words I never imagined I'd say to my own mother. I don't want you in my life right now, I said. I don't want you in my son's life. Not until you understand what you've done and take responsibility. Not half apologies. Not excuses. Real responsibility. Until then, stay away from us. She gasped like I'd hit her. You can't do that, she whispered. I'm your mother. That's exactly why this hurts so much, I said. If a stranger had done this, I'd call it evil and move on. When your own mother does it, it's something else. But I won't let blood be an excuse anymore. She tried to guilt-trip me one last time. She reminded me of sleepless nights when I was a baby, of sacrifices, of birthday cakes she baked by hand when we were broke. She said, after everything I did, 3 times in 5 minutes. I listened, then repeated calmly, stay away. I left her standing in the doorway, clutching the edge of the doorframe like it was the only thing keeping her upright. Exposing the truth didn't magically fix my life. It didn't rewind the weeks Emma had spent thinking I was a cheater. It didn't erase the looks, the whispers, the quiet judgments, but it changed the direction of what came next. Emma called her lawyer and paused the divorce. Then she came over one evening, without Noah, to talk face to face. We sat on the couch, the same couch where we used to fall asleep together watching movies. She looked tired. Older. Like the last months had added years. I don't know how to do this, she said. Part of me wants to run back here, pretend none of this happened, and pick up where we left off. Another part of me is angry at myself for not trusting you. For trusting your mother more. For letting her into my head. I'm angry too, I admitted. At her. At you a little. At myself. At everyone. But I don't want anger to be the only thing that decides our future. We talked for hours. For the first time in a long time, we were brutally honest. I told her how small I had felt when she said she believed my mother over me. She told me how convincing my mother had been, how she had played the role of the heartbroken parent perfectly, how safe it had felt to have an older woman on her side when she was scared about the marriage already. She admitted something I hadn't wanted to hear but needed to. She said our relationship had fissures before my mother's lie. My long hours at work. Her feeling alone with Noah. My hesitation whenever we talked about having a second child. Her resentment at always being the one to smooth things over when my mother made a scene. My habit of downplaying her feelings to avoid conflict. If your mother hadn't done this, she said, maybe we would have hit a wall later anyway. But we would have hit it together, honestly. Not like this. Not with fake screenshots. We decided to start counseling, not as a magical solution, but as a structured way to see if there was anything left to save. We agreed on one thing from the start: my mother would not be part of our decisions anymore. Her voice would not be in our house, our arguments, our choices. For the first time, I drew a firm boundary and kept it. As for the legal side, Emma called her parents and told them what had happened. Her father, who had barely hidden his contempt for me since the cheating story, called me to apologize. Her mother cried on the phone and said she was sorry for ever doubting me, that she had never met someone as manipulative as my mother. Word spread slowly. People who had judged me started to backpedal. Some apologized. Some didn't. I learned something important then: not everyone who believes a lie about you will care when the truth comes out. Some people like the story of your failure more than they like you. I let those people go. I sent the recording to my mother's sisters too, not out of revenge, but because I wanted them to know what she was capable of. A few called me shocked. Others said they weren't surprised. Apparently, my mother had a history of twisting reality in smaller ways. This was just the first time it had exploded on a scale that couldn't be hidden. She tried to reach out to me and Emma many times. Messages, calls, even showing up at my work once. I stayed firm. I told security not to let her in again. I blocked her number. Emma blocked her too. My brother kept minimal contact, mostly out of obligation, but even he started keeping his distance. Months passed. Counseling was hard. Emma and I had nights where it felt like we were moving forward, remembering why we fell in love in the first place. We also had nights where it felt pointless, when the weight of betrayal, both by my mother and by Emma's lack of trust, sat between us like a third person on the couch. In the end, we decided not to rush a decision about the marriage. We focused on co-parenting Noah with as much honesty and stability as we could. He didn't need to know about the adult mess. He just needed to know that both his parents were there for him. The house stayed in my name and Emma's, as it was from the start. We agreed that if one of us ever moved out permanently, we'd handle it fairly, without games, without using it as a weapon. My mother's name never appeared on any document. Sometimes, when I walk through the hallway and past the spot where my mother once spread out those transfer papers, I feel a mix of anger and relief. Anger that she was willing to sacrifice my happiness for ownership of bricks. Relief that I didn't sign anything out of fear. I don't know if I'll ever fully reconcile with my mother. Maybe in a few years, when Noah is older and asks about his grandmother, I'll have to revisit that door. Maybe I'll open it a crack for his sake, with strict limits. Or maybe I won't. Right now, I'm still learning that it's okay to protect myself from people who hurt me, even if they share my blood. My mom told my wife I was cheating. My wife believed her, because the evidence was perfect and the story fit every fear she already had. She divorced me in her mind before any judge saw a paper. For weeks, I walked around feeling like a stranger to my own life. Now I know the truth: my mother lied to take our house, to keep control, to make sure I would never be fully free from her. She weaponized the one thing I thought was untouchable, a mother's love, and used it to blow up my family. She almost got everything she wanted. Almost. What she actually got was a son who finally saw her clearly, a family who stopped letting her write their story, And a house that stayed exactly where my father-in-law said it should be when he first helped us move in, not as a trophy for anyone, but as a place where, after all the lies and noise, the people who really live there can finally breathe in peace.
Follow me for more stories.